You did not find this by accident. I want you to hear that before I say anything else. You are not scrolling. You are not browsing. Something in your consciousness brought you here to this exact moment because you are ready to hear what I'm about to say. And I know the state you are in right now. You have been lying in bed at night doing the work. You have been closing your eyes, running the scene, trying to feel it real. And every morning you wake up and the room looks the same. The bank account reads the same. The phone has not rung. You are tired, not tired of wanting, tired of trying, and something in you is beginning to whisper that maybe you are doing it wrong. Maybe you are broken. Maybe this works for everyone except you. I am going to tell you something tonight that I told Neville Goddard in the winter of 1933. It was the turning point of his entire life. Not the visualization, not the affirmation, not the feeling, the sequence. There are 4 things I made Neville do before sleep that did not merely change his circumstances. They changed who he was by morning. And the reason your nights have not been working is not because you lack faith or discipline. It is because you have been doing the right things in the wrong order, with the wrong posture. You have been performing for the subconscious instead of surrendering to it. Tonight, that ends. Let me tell you what I see when I look at your situation. You have been treating the moments before sleep as a performance. You lie down. You close your eyes. You begin your scene or your affirmation. And the entire time your conscious mind is sitting beside you with a clipboard. Did I feel it? Was that real enough? Am I doing this right? Is it working yet? You have taken the critic to bed with you. And the critic is the very thing that prevents the impression from reaching the subconscious. When Neville first came to me, he had the same disease. He was a young dancer living on West 72nd Street. No money, no certainty, but enormous desire. He would visualize all day. He would affirm all night. And then he would lie in bed reviewing every piece of evidence that his life had not changed. He was doing the work of creation during the day and the work of destruction every single night. I watched him do this for weeks before I told him the truth. I said, Neville, what you do in the final minutes before sleep is not a technique. It is a transfer. You are handing your identity to the subconscious. And whatever you hand it, whether it is the man who has or the man who desperately wants, that is what you will wake up as tomorrow morning. He did not understand this immediately, but when he did, everything changed, and not slowly. Overnight. Let me take you back to that winter, 1933. New York was cold and gray, and Neville was broke. He was living in a small furnished room, earning almost nothing as a dancer, and the winter was pressing down on him in a way that had nothing to do with the weather. He came to my apartment one evening with fire in his eyes and told me he wanted to go home to Barbados. He wanted to see his family. He wanted to feel the sun on his skin and stand on the ground where he was born. And then he said the words that told me everything about where his consciousness was. He said, "But I have no money for the passage." He said it as though money was the obstacle, as though the world outside him was the problem. I looked at him and I did not comfort him. I did not strategize with him. I said one thing, "You are in Barbados." Then I closed the door. He stood in that hallway for a long moment. I know because I could feel him there. And that was the beginning, not the beginning of his trip, the beginning of his education. Because what happened next is the part no one tells properly. This story is repeated everywhere, People know about the ticket that arrived from his brother. They know about the first-class berth on the ship. They know Neville sailed to Barbados exactly as he had assumed, but no one ever asks the question that actually matters. What did Neville do between lying down and falling asleep during those weeks? He did not just picture a beach. He did not just repeat a phrase. He followed a specific sequence I had given him. 4 things, done in order every single night. And those 4 things stripped away the old Neville, the broke dancer, the wanting man, the one who believed in obstacles, and installed a new one before his eyes closed for the last time each evening. Tonight, I am going to give you the same sequence. But first, you must understand why it works. During the day, your conscious mind acts as a guard. It stands at the entrance to your subconscious, and it filters everything. You can say, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times, and the guard will say, "No, you are not." You can visualize the house, the relationship, the freedom, and the guard will whisper, "This is pretend." The conscious mind is a skeptic by design. That is its function. It is there to test reality, to compare, to doubt. And during the waking hours, it does its job relentlessly. But there is one moment every day when the guard steps aside, one narrow window when the door to the subconscious stands open and unprotected. It is the moment between waking and sleeping. Neville called it SATS, the state akin to sleep. That drowsy, heavy, half-conscious threshold where your body is releasing and your mind is softening and the edges of the room begin to blur. You know this state. You pass through it every single night. You have simply never been taught what to do with it. In that window, whatever you place before the subconscious passes through without resistance. No filtering, no judgment, no rejection. The guard is asleep. The door is open. And for a few minutes, sometimes only a few seconds, you have direct access to the part of your mind that builds your reality from the inside out. This is why what you do in that window is worth more than everything you do during your entire waking day. 1,000 affirmations at noon cannot match one clear impression planted at the threshold of sleep. Neville wrote about this precisely. He said the feeling of the wish fulfilled, if assumed and sustained, must objectify the state that would have created it. But he learned that the most powerful place to assume that feeling was not during meditation, not during prayer, not during the busy hours. It was at the edge of sleep, where the subconscious is listening with nothing between you and it. Most people waste this moment. They fall asleep in worry, in review, in fear. They hand the subconscious their worst self and wonder why they wake up heavy. The 4 things I taught Neville are designed to ensure that the last impression before sleep is the identity of the person you intend to become, not a wish, an identity. Here is the first thing. Before you build the future, you must rewrite the past. Most people skip straight to their desire. They close their eyes and begin imagining what they want, but they are building on a foundation of today's failures, today's disappointments, today's evidence that nothing has changed. The first thing I made Neville do every single night was revise the day, not review it, revise it. Take the moments that went wrong and replay them in your imagination exactly as you wished they had gone. The conversation that stung, replay it as kind. The rejection, replay it as acceptance. The silence from someone you love, replay it as warmth. You are not lying to yourself. You are doing something far more powerful. The subconscious does not know the difference between a vivid memory and a vivid revision. When you revise the day before sleep, you are cleaning the lens. You are removing the residue of the old identity, so the new one can be installed without contradiction. Neville resisted this at first. He said to me, "What is the point of pretending the day was different?" And I told him, "You are not pretending. You are selecting which version of today the subconscious will carry into tomorrow. That is not fantasy. That is authorship. So tonight, before anything else, you will replay your day. Find the 3 moments that felt worst. Revise each one. See it going the way you wished. Feel the relief of it. This is the clearing. Nothing else works until this is done. The second thing is more subtle, and most people have never been told it. After revision, you must catch your inner speech and change it. Not add new words. Stop the old ones. When you lie in bed, your mind runs a monologue. And for most people, that monologue sounds like this: I still do not have it. Why has nothing changed? When is it going to happen? What if this does not work? Every one of those sentences is a command. You are instructing the subconscious to produce more waiting, more doubt, more absence. Your inner speech is not a reaction to your reality. It is the blueprint your consciousness follows to build reality. I told Neville, after you revise the day, you will speak internally as the man who already has what you desire, not about the desire, as the man. If the man in Barbados would say the air here smells like salt, then that is your inner speech. If the man who is wealthy would say, I am glad I can afford this, then that is your inner speech. You are not affirming. You are overhearing yourself from the new state. Neville understood this immediately. He had been speaking from desire his whole life. I taught him to speak from fulfillment, and the moment he did, the feeling followed the words. It always does. Tonight, after your revision, speak one sentence. Just one. A sentence you would say if your desire were already a fact. Not a sentence about wanting. A sentence that proves having. Repeat it gently until it stops sounding like a performance and starts sounding like your own voice. That is the signal. When the words feel like yours, the state is shifting. The third thing is the one most people have heard of, but almost no one does correctly. The scene. After revision and inner speech have prepared the ground, you enter a single short scene that implies your desire is fulfilled. But here is where everyone goes wrong. They visualize the getting. They see the phone call, the email, the knock on the door, the moment of receiving, and that scene still carries the energy of wanting. It is a scene about something changing. The scene must take place after. It must be ordinary, mundane, the kind of moment that would only exist if everything had already worked out. For Neville, it was not a scene of arriving in Barbados. It was not the ship pulling into harbor. It was not his family greeting him. Those scenes still carry anticipation. Instead, he chose something so ordinary it could bore you. He imagined lying in his childhood bed in his mother's house, feeling her specific sheets against his skin. The cotton was different there, lighter, worn soft from years of Caribbean heat. He heard the sound of the island at night through the open window, insects, a breeze, the distant rhythm of the sea, a scene after arrival, a scene so unremarkable that it could only exist in a life where the desire was already old news. That is the key. The scene must be boring to anyone except the person who has the desire, because boredom means normalcy, and normalcy means it has already happened. Choose one scene tonight. Something small, something that takes place after. See it from inside your own eyes, not watching yourself from outside. Touch something in the scene. Hear something. Make it sensory. The subconscious does not respond to pictures. It responds to feeling. Make the scene short enough to loop, 10 seconds, 15 at most, and loop it. Do not change it. Do not improve it. The same scene again and again until the repetition itself becomes a kind of lullaby. Now, I arrive at the fourth thing, and this is the one that changes everything. This is what separates the people for whom these teachings work from the people who say they tried and nothing happened. The technique does not end when you finish the scene. The technique ends when you fall asleep. And you must fall asleep inside the scene, not after it. Most people do their visualization, feel the scene, feel a moment of satisfaction, and then they open their eyes. They check their phone. They shift positions. They think about tomorrow, and then they fall asleep. They did the work and then walked out of the state before the subconscious could accept it. I told Neville, "You must fall asleep as the man in Barbados, not as Neville, who just finished visualizing Barbados, as the man. Sleep is a death. Every night you die to who you were, and every morning you are resurrected as whoever you were when you fell asleep. If you fall asleep as the wanting man, you wake as the wanting man. If you fall asleep as the man who has, you wake as the man who has. This is not poetry. This is the mechanism. Neville called it sleeping in the assumption. I called it dying well. So tonight, do not stop looping the scene until you feel yourself drifting. Let the scene carry you into sleep. If your mind wanders, return to the scene. Do not open your eyes. Do not check anything. The goal is not to finish the technique. The goal is to let the technique finish you. To lose consciousness while wearing the new identity. That is the transfer. That is where the real work happens. Not in the trying, in the releasing. I want to pause here. If what I have shared tonight has landed, if you can feel that something in your understanding has shifted, then I have something for you. I prepared a guide called The Manifest Reset for the person who is ready to stop performing for the subconscious and begin the real transfer. It will help you with 3 specific things. First, identifying the exact inner speech patterns that have been sabotaging your nights without you realizing it. Second, building your single SATS scene with the precision I described tonight. After the fulfillment, sensory, short enough to loop. Third, walking you through this entire pre-sleep sequence so you can follow it tonight and every night until the assumption hardens into fact. If you want it, comment the word reset below this video. Let that be your first act of decision. Now let me give you the whole sequence one final time. It is not 5 steps, it is one movement. Lie down. Let your body get heavy. Feel the approach of sleep and welcome it. First, revise your day. Take the 3 moments that stung and see them going beautifully. Feel the relief. Second, speak 1 sentence from the new state. Repeat it until it sounds like yours. Third, enter your scene. Short, sensory, first person, taking place after fulfillment. Loop it. Fourth, let the scene carry you into sleep. Do not stop. Do not open your eyes. Fall asleep inside the state. Die as the old man. Wake as the new one. This takes less than 15 minutes, and I am telling you now, it will do more for your reality than 15 years of daytime effort, because the day is where you live, but the night is where you are made. Before I leave you tonight, I want to speak to the part of you that is still afraid it will not work. I know that part is there. It has been with you a long time. It is the part that has read every book, watched every video, done every technique, and still wakes up in the same room with the same circumstances. I am not going to argue with that part of you. I am going to tell it the truth. The silence you have been experiencing, the days and weeks when nothing seems to move on the outside, that is not rejection. It is construction. When Neville fell asleep in Barbados every night for weeks, nothing changed on the outside. His bank account did not move. No one called. No letter arrived. The room on West 72nd Street was still cold. And every morning he wanted to come to me and say, "It is not working." But I told him, the building is being erected in the unseen. Consciousness moves first, always first. The world follows. But the world moves on its own schedule through what Neville later called the bridge of incidents, a chain of events you could never have planned or predicted, each one natural, each one logical, and all of them leading to the exact fulfillment you assumed. Your job is not to watch for evidence. Your job is not to check the mail or refresh the inbox. Your job is to keep falling asleep in the right state. Do not dig up the seed to see if it is growing. The seed does not need your inspection. It needs your sleep. There will come a moment, and it is closer than your conscious mind is willing to believe, when you will be living in the state you assumed tonight. You will be in the room, in the conversation, in the life, and you will remember this video. You will remember this exact moment where you heard me say that it was already done, and you will understand that it did not begin when the phone rang or the door opened or the money appeared. It began the night you stopped performing and started dying into the new self. Come back here when that happens. Leave your testimony. The person who finds this video after you will need your proof to believe their own. There is one more thing I did not tell you tonight. There is a quality of the SAT state itself, a specific texture of consciousness that determines whether the impression you plant reaches the subconscious or bounces off the surface like rain on stone. Most people enter the drowsy state and still fail because they do not understand the difference between being in that state and being open in that state. In the next video, I will show you what that quality is and why everything I taught you tonight will work twice as deeply once you have it.